All right, so welcome back. I think we were official. RallyWerks Garage, and part of the chasing waypoints thing going on. So, okay, I was getting ready to ride it this morning and do some laps here by the house. We've got a wonderful graded road. Just trying to build my confidence on this bike and just make sure she's good to go. But somebody broke the internet, or somebody is in the process of breaking the internet. So we know, if you guys saw the last video, I was talking about the throttle tube on this thing. G2 Ergonomics has a throttle tamer throttle tube designed to help with the catchiness of the bike, where it kind of surges at that low speed and does its thing. That addressed it. I feel like it's really good now, or at least much better. To the point where it's even almost kind of hard to notice it. You can actually crack the throttle with confidence, and you're not waiting for the bike to start doing its thing. But then somebody came up with, and I don't know how they came across this, but basically this thing has an idle air controller, and they disconnected it, and the bike all of a sudden got better. So we'll show you how to do that here really quick in just a second. But before we do that, let's ask, or I asked ChatGPT, okay, what does this thing actually do? What is the idle air controller responsible for? Why did it actually make a difference? So let's go to the bench. Print it out for us. So idle air controller on the Kove 450 Rally Pro helps regulate the engine idle by adjusting the airflow when the throttle is closed. Okay, so basically a bypass valve. So even if the butterfly was at 0, in other words, no air to get past the butterfly, this thing would let air in to help the bike idle. Okay, bypass valve located, okay, yeah, basically what I just said. It helps on cold starts, warm-up cycles, idling at a stop, low RPM transitions. Okay, example, throttle valve. If the plate is completely closed on a carbureted bike, before you either needed to do like the choke thing, or you would just crack the throttle slightly to keep it open and kind of get the RPMs up a little bit so it wouldn't stall at idle. Okay, so this thing kind of does that for you. How it interacts with the ECU. ECU uses data from the sensors, throttle position, engine coolant temp, RPM to tell the IAC how much air it needs to flow. So how much it's going to be responsible for. Helps maintain a stable idle and prevent stalling. IAC uses a stepper motor for precise airflow control. Makes sense. Happens at low speeds. At low throttle openings, the IAC may still be open. Okay, now we're into that territory of cracking the throttle slightly and getting catchiness. However, the ECU is not well calibrated, the IAC can overcorrect, causing jerky throttle response. Aha! Throttle hang and inconsistent low speed control. So throttle hang I haven't seen. That would be, if I understand it correctly, would be, you know, snap the throttle up really quick and then it just kind of stays at a higher idle, and then after a few seconds it just drops down back to its normal, say, target idle of 800 RPM or something like that, or 1200 RPM, whatever it is. So jerky throttle response for sure, inconsistent low speed control for sure. Throttle tamer for sure address the inconsistent low speed control, at least a little more to my liking. But when you disconnect it, the ECU stops managing the idle airflow through the IAC. All airflow comes through the throttle body only. Okay, may need to adjust the idle manually. Throttle feel becomes more direct and consistent. Okay, cold starts may become a little harder. All right, so you maybe have to crack the throttle a little bit. Okay, so break it down. Summary in a simple terms, IAC is like an assistant trying to smooth things out at idle, but in technical or rally riding, you may want to remove that assistant so you can be in full control. Disabling the IAC gives you that control at the cost of some idle stability. Well, we'll find out about that, because I think there is a throttle plate adjustment screw on this. Maybe. We'll find out, but you know, I don't know if the rideability of the bike at slow speed, cruising, that kind of thing, or when you chop the throttle, the engine braking, the way that the bike reacts, when you crack the throttle, that direct throttle feeling, where the throttle is going to feel more direct. Okay, I like that. So we're going to find out about that here in a bit. But right now, let's jump to the important part. So left side of the bike, you have, behind this is going to be the throttle body, roughly about in this area here behind the tank. I'm not going to remove the tank to just do this, because you can actually just reach in and undo the latch on the plug, and it's pretty simple. But I'm going to post a picture right now so you guys can see the picture. I'm doing this so I remind myself to put a picture here. But the idle air controller right here in that image is kind of in towards the middle. You can see the air intake boot, how it comes down and it drops into the head, and it's that valve that's below it. It's attached to that intake tube. The plug is closer to the edge of the tank, and it can be done by, so we'll go back to this. So if the throttle controller comes out, idle air controller comes out in this direction, you have a plug on the end of it, and the securing clip is right on the end of it. So you basically reach up over, and then with your index finger, you can just put a little bit of pressure on the release, or that safety lock, and then just push down on it and it'll come right out. So I'm gonna do that right now. I'm gonna reach up in there, find it really quick. There it is. And then we're gonna get to the end of it. I feel the end. Listen for the click. There it is. And there it goes. So now I'll post a picture of what that plug looks like when it's disconnected, so you guys have an idea. Then what we're gonna do is start this thing. Okay, I'm gonna turn it off, because I can tell you right now, the very first thing I noticed is normally it takes me 2 to 3 tries to get the bike to idle. From dead quote, this bike has not been started in a couple of days. You heard how the battery kind of dipped down before it actually started the bike. I do need to put it on a charger. That is crazy. But that is a good thing. So far. So we're gonna take it out. It's daylight. It's time to, I'm gonna take this thing down the block. I'm okay. All right, let's see what this thing does. I'm gonna get the helmet on, switch cameras, microphone, do all of that stuff. But anyway, you'll just see it in the video. Let's cut to the ride.
Okay, so we're gonna go with first impressions. I don't even know whose bike this is. Seriously. That is really wild. So the throttle response. So the two things for sure. As I was coming to a stop before, even just going up around the neighborhood and stuff like that, once the bike got warmed up and got hot, in some cases, as I was coming to a stop, the bike would just flame out. And right now, coming downhill, probably just seeing it in the video, or saw it in the video, it didn't do that. The idle was really, really stable. Not only that, but the actual throttle response is crisper. It's a little bit sharper. I'm just absolutely, I'm just blown away by that. And I just noticed that my license plate is bent pretty good. Oh well. But yeah, absolutely wild. So if you have a Kove, you may consider unplugging the idle air controller. Me, like any of the other creators, that's at your own risk if you're gonna do it. But I, so far, have had positive response to it, or positive results. I'm a little bit like, wow. So very surprised at how this actually worked out for this particular bike. Now, what does that mean? Or what I would think is, okay, that means that there's probably a tune, there's probably a different stepper motor, there's probably something else that could be installed or tuned to make it just that much better. But right now, this is just, I'm blown away. So yeah, I'm gonna ride this thing back up the road. We're gonna do some suspension clicks, get the rebound all the way out, just see, because this is pretty chopped up. This is the kind of stuff I'll ride a lot of times, so I want to make sure the bike feels good, and then as I need less rebound, we'll go from there. But anyway, with that, yeah, time to go put some miles on this thing. So don't forget, like, share, subscribe, do all of that fun stuff. Get outside, ride a motorcycle. It's funny I should say that because I don't feel like I do that enough, but that could be changed. So anyway, we'll see you guys on the next episode.